Hello, hello everyone. This is Apoorva Dwivedi, and I'm working as assistant professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering in IIMT College of Engineering, Greater Noida. Today I'm going to explain the topic static members in Java. We are going to discuss about the difference between static and non-static members in Java programming language. So as we all know that Java is a programming language in which we use classes, we use object-oriented concept because it is object-oriented language. So there is a keyword, as we all know, Java is a in Java the static is a keyword. So it is basically, as it is mentioned, static keyword in Java is used for memory management mainly. We can apply Java static keyword with variables, methods, blocks, and nested classes. So basically, the static keyword what the static keyword is doing is uh, it's just showing the memory management because it helps in memory management as uh, you must have heard about the classes. So in classes, as we know, there are so many variables, there are so many methods, there are so many blocks in classes. So there can be nested classes too. So, if we are making something static, it means we are connecting it to the class directly. It is independent of the object of that class. So, basically, as it is written here, Java supports definition of global methods and variables that can be accessed without creating object of a class. So it's clearly stated here that the variables which are not only variables actually, if we are making any method also, we are making something static, it means we are those will be directly accessible by the class. It does not need any object to get created to access those members. So those members are called static members. Next is define a variable by marking the static method. How can we declare something as static? We have to just mention the static keyword before the name of that member, whether it is a method, whether it is a variable, whatever we are creating, we have to just mention static before that. Now, if we want to create any variable, for example, we are creating static variable, we they can be used even if the class is never instantiated. What does it mean? We are just saying that if we have created some variable which is static and we have not created the object of that class. As we all know, static members and non-static members. If we are creating some variable as non-static, it means we are creating a normal variable of in any method or any class. It will be accessible only if we create the object of that particular class. But the static variable will be accessible by the class name directly. The static can be variable, method, block, or nested classes. It means if we are creating something, some variable, or if we want to create any method or any block or any nested class as static, we can create. Next is, for example, your next topic is Java static variable. What is Java static variable? If you are creating any variable as static, it means you are going to access that variable. You are going to treat that variable as static member. Static member means it will be accessible by the class. It will not depend on the object. Just look at the screen. It's the static member variable can be used to refer the common property of all the objects. It means if we are creating multiple objects of any single class, then the static variable will be common to all The static variable will be common for all the objects, and its space will be all the space allocated to that member will also be common for all. As we all know, the non-static members, if we are creating so many no, non-static members, then each and every object will have different location, memory location for that non-static variable. But the static variable will have a common space in which the data will be stored, and it will be shared by all the objects of that particular class. So the static variable gets memory only once in class area at the time of class loading. It means the static variable's memory will be allocated at the time of class loading. It means when the class is loaded, the variable will get its memory. The non-static member variables get their location only when the object is created. But static variables get the memory when the class loads. It means it's clearly stated. It shows that it is not depending on the object of that class. Now, advantage of static variable. What is the advantage of creating any variable? It makes your program memory efficient. It means it saves the memory. How does it save the memory? Just look here. It's written, there are in this example, there is a class whose name is student. So the class name is student, and it is dealing with the data of some student or for any student. So there are basically three member variables. First one is roll number, which is having integer type, then name, which is string type, and next is university. It means we are storing three data: roll number, name, and university. So it's written, suppose there are 2000 students in our university. Now all instance data members will get memory each time when object is created. It means if we are having 2000 students and we are making 2000 objects of student class, then each data member will have different memory location to store the data. It means there will be 2000 memories for roll number for 2000 different students. There will be 2000 memories for name and 2000 memories for university. It means it's just getting repeated. As we can see, all the students have its unique roll number and name, so instance data member is good. What is instance data members? Let me clear it. Instance data member is non-static data member. Okay, so instance means object. Wherever we refer the word instance, it means we are talking about any object of that class. All the students have its unique roll number and name, so instant data members is good. It means if we are talking about the roll number and name, then to all the 2000 students will have different roll numbers and names. So it's good to create separate spaces for storing the roll number and name. If we are talking about one student, for example, its roll number is 1 and the name is Aditya, then it will store roll number 1 will be stored somewhere, Aditya will be stored somewhere, and next time if we are making another object for second student, roll number 2 and the name of the student, it will be different at the different location. But if we look at this example, the university is same. The university is same here, that is here the university refers to the common property of all objects. It means all the students are belonging to the same university. They all belong to same university. Then it can be made as static, and there will be only a single memory to store the university, and all the objects will indicate that memory. For example, here in this the static variable. So basically there is a class, this name is student 8. Student 8, it means here the roll number is there, string name and static string college equal to ITS. So basically, here is a roll number, next is college name, and this is some method which is this is called constructor. As we all know, the method which is having the same name as class name is called constructor. So it is the constructor which is getting memory for the, which is getting value for the uh, name and roll number from here. That is different thing. First we have to understand the difference between the memory of roll number and the memory of the static data type, that is college. So here look at this picture. There are two students. We are making two objects for this, that is S1. The first one is S1 and second one is S2. We are making two objects for this. It means we are going to store the data for two students. Now S1 and S2 will be in two stacks which will indicate two objects of the same class. First one is S1, that is its ID is 111 and name is Karan. The ID and the name are getting different spaces. S2 will get different space for ID and name. But the static member, that is the college, is getting college's value of the college's ITS. It means it is storing the value ITS, and both the objects will indicate or will share the memory of the college, and they will show that this data type is this member variable is being shared with all. If we make any change in ITS, it will be changed for all the objects, not for a single person. But if we are changing the ID of this particular person, it will not affect the value of ID of S1. So next is, now what is the difference between static and non-static? Look at this program. This is a program, the class, there is a class which is whose name is counter. Now count, there is a variable, its name is count equal to 0. It will get memory when instance is created. It means when object will be created, count will get its memory. As I told before also, that the instance data variable, it means the non-static data variable, member variable, will get the memory when the object is created. Now, because it's without static variable, so now what will happen is its value will be 0. Now what we have to do is count plus plus. Count plus plus means it's counting something. We are making the counter program now. So basically in this main there are three objects for counter class, that is C1, C2 and C3. There are three objects, and for all the three objects there will be a different count because it is non-static. Then how will it count that how many times you have counted? Now what we are doing, if we are making one object, it will count 1. When we will create C2, it will count 1 again, because the count of first one will be different and count of second will be different and third will be different. It means it will get 3 times value 1 1 1. It will not count the number of objects. It will just count, it will just give you the value 111. Now if we are talking about static variable, it will count the number of objects. How will it count? The name of the class is counter2. Now the count variable is static. Static means it will get the memory when the class is loaded. Now the class has been loaded. So whether we have created this C1, C2, C3, it doesn't matter to the count. Now if we are making the object C1, what will happen is C1 will be created, and when the C1 will be created, it will go back to this, it will call this constructor. It will increase the value of count, that will be 0 to 1. Now 0 to 1, it is changed from 0 to 1. Now it will print 1. Again, when the second object of the counter2 class will be created, it will call the same constructor again. When this constructor will be called, it will change the previous value of count because the memory of the count is shared with the same with all the objects. Now the value of the count was 1, it will be increased to 2 and it will print 2. Now 3, then similarly it will print 3. So I hope you got the difference between static and non-static member variables. Next one is, if we are talking about static methods, this was all about static variables. Now if we talk about static methods, now what is static method? A static method belongs to the class rather than object of the class. It means similarly as we were talking about the variable, similarly the methods are also the members of the class. It's not the member of object. So there is something like, if we are talking about a class have the method that are defined as static, example main method. Why the main method is static? Because it is independent of the class in which it is created. It is independent of the object because we create the objects inside the main class, the main method. Now, static methods can be accessed without using objects also. Also, there is no need to create objects. If we want to call any method which is static, it does not need any kind of object to call. Next, static method can access static data members and can change the value of it. Static members only access those variables which are static. This is something which you should note it down, that the members the methods which are static, they can access only static data members. Why is it so? Because suppose we have created a method and we are calling it without creating any object, and it is accessing the member which is non-static. It means if we are accessing the member which is non-static, what will happen? It will not be if you are accessing non-static data member inside a static method, then what will happen? It will not get any space. The member variable is not having any memory because the object is not created yet. Then how will it perform the operation on the data member, because there is no data? So with the method, when the method is created, the members which are being used inside that method should also be created. That is why the static method only accesses the static data members, but the vice versa is not true. Non-static methods can access both the static and non-static data variables. Now, again, if we want to create any method which is static, you have to just prefix the keyword static before that. Static methods are generally used to group related library functions and don't depend on data members of its class. For example, so let's again come back to the example. There is an example, now it's an example where there is a class whose name is student 9 and there are three members again, roll number, name and university. So if we are making, now here we are making change in a static member and we are creating with the help of a static member function. So member method. So now here we are having a university whose name is ITS. Now what we are doing, let's come to the main function. Now what will happen is, in this main function we have not created any object till here. In the first line we are calling the change method. When the change method will be called, it will come here and we will see the change method is inserting the value QREG in the university in place of ITS. Now what will happen is QRAG will be inserted It will replace the ITS as Qraj, and now student 9, it will, this method is being called for this constructor is getting the value for roll number and name. So now for inserting the values of roll number and name, we are creating three objects, that is S1, S2 and S3. Now constructors are called and we are passing the values 111, and these three values will be there for the roll numbers and names. Now we are calling the display method. What the method is displaying? It is displaying the roll number, name and university. So the output will be 111. It means the ID of first person, then say a name and the university. Now what we are seeing here, that we have changed only once. We have changed the university just once, but it is being changed for all the objects. So this is the main concept, that if we are changing something that is in the static member variable, it is being changed for all the objects. Now next one is, in this example, there is one more example. In this example, what we are doing is, there is a class whose name is calculate, and now there is a variable whose name is cube, and it is of integer type and it is a function basically. So now it is taking a variable for x. What is x here? X is a variable which is, maybe it's taking the dimension of the cube. Now it will return the value of x into x into x. Now x cube basically. So if here we have given the side of the cube. Now x cube is the, what is x cube? X cube is the volume of cube. Now it's showing that we have a result. Result is a variable. Its name is, it's getting value for the cubes. It's calling the method cube. Now it will call the cube for value of 5. Now it will return 555, and 555, 5 multiply 5 will be inserted, 125 will be inserted into result, and we can print the value of result. Again, there is a program which is comparing static methods. Now, how is it being used? There is a comparator. Comparator means, what is comparator? It is basically here a class whose name is comparator, and public static, there is a static member function. Now static member function is int a, int ab. There are two parameters in this method. We are getting two values, a and b. If a is greater, it means it will return the a, or if why we are comparing, comparative classes basically comparing the two variables. If which one will be greater, it will be returned. So here the string, there are two strings a and b. If a dot comparator to a dot compare to b is greater than 0, it will return a, else return b. It means whatever the value of a, it will be compared to b. It is basically a function. It will compare a and b. Whatever will be the greatest, it will give you that value, otherwise this. Now here in the main function, we have created three strings, s1, s2 and s3. Now these are three names. Now a and b will be 10 and 20. 10 and 20 means, what it is showing, that comparator dot max will calculate the value which is maximum. It will give you the maximum value. Comparator is the name of this class. Max is the method of this class. It is static, so it will be called directly with the help of the name of the class. It does not need any method, any object to call. Here we are not creating, in the whole program we have not created any object for the comparator class till we are able to access the data method, the member method of that particular class. So I hope you all have understood the difference between the members which are static and the members which are non-static. So there is what is static member functions? Static member functions can access only other static members. Only static members will be accessed. As we have already discussed, it is called using class name and scope resolution operator. How does it get accessed? The name of the class dot then the name of the method, or we can call class name and the scope resolution name, scope resolution operator, and after that function name. It cannot use this pointer. This pointer, we know, it indicates the current, the instance, because it is for indicating the instance and there is no instance, so it does not use any this pointer. Now here we have called it, there are there is a method which is static member, that is the name of name of it is count. We are making two members, static members, that is count and public. Now public is not a variable, public is a scope resolution. Now next is void code equal to plus plus count. The code will store the updated value of count. Now this is basically a C++ program, so it is also similar to the same concept is used in C++ too. Now, thank you so much. I hope you understood I hope you all understood the difference between static and non-static members. Thanks.